Okay, in this video, we will solve this problem right here. So we have the absolute value of cosine x, and it's being bounded from 0 to 3 pi divided by 2. Now, because we have an integral with an absolute value, we have to approach this problem a little bit differently. We actually need to split it up. So looking at cosine x, regular cosine x, we know cosine x would be positive from 0 to pi divided by 2. And then from pi divided by 2 to 3 pi divided by 2, it's negative, because in this area, only sine is positive, and in this area, only tan is positive. So the way we need to actually split this up, because we can't work with absolute values whenever we have integrals. So we need to split it up. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So what we could say is we have the integral from 0 to pi divided by 2, and that's when cosine, is going to be positive. So you can keep it the same. Dx plus the integral from pi divided by 2 to 3 pi divided by 2, it's negative. But with absolute value, if something is negative, let's say, for example, you have cosine pi. Cosine pi, regular, is -1, but it's an absolute value, so cosine pi would be +1. And so we have to take that into account. So what we have to do is put a negative in the front, cosine x. And let's think about this. So cosine x, let's say you have pi right here. Cosine pi is -1. Absolute value of -1 is +1. Now let's try it here. Negative cosine pi. So cosine pi is -1. A negative in front gives you -1, which is +1. So it's the same. So by splitting it up, we can remove the absolute value. And now we have a regular kind of definite integral. So the integral of cosine x would be sine x, and it's being bounded from 0 to pi divided by 2. So we can put 0 to pi divided by 2, plus the integral of negative cosine x would be negative sine x. So we can put negative sine parentheses x, and it's being bound from pi divided by 2 to 3 pi divided by 2. So now we just got to plug it in. So we'll have sine pi divided by 2 minus sine parentheses 0, close parentheses, minus parentheses sine parentheses 3 pi divided by 2 minus sine pi divided by 2. So we know sine pi divided by 2 would be 1. And sine 0 is 0, so 1 minus 0, minus parentheses, sine 3 pi divided by 2. So sine pi divided by 2 is +1, and sine 3 pi divided by 2 is -1, because in this area, only tan and cosine are positive. So we'll have -1, and then negative sine pi divided by 2. Again, sine pi divided by 2 is 1, and you have a negative in the front, so you have -1, close parentheses. So what we have is 1 minus parentheses -1 is -2. So 1 minus -2 would give us 3. So this right here is our final answer. And for categorized integral problems, there's a playlist in the description box. There's also random integral problems. So if you want more practice, check the description box for more videos.